أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير آمين يا رب العالمين.
In this lecture, we will study how to convert Jumla Fi'liya into Jumla Ismiya. In the beginning of our course, we studied that there are two types of murakkab or phrase. One type of murakkab is murakkab tam, which can also be called Jumla or sentence. Murakkab tam delivers a complete meaning. In contrast, murakkab nakis does not deliver a complete meaning, and murakkab nakis is not a sentence. Specific to murakkab tam, jumla or sentence, we studied that there are two types of jumla ismiya and jumla fi'liya. We studied jumla ismiya and jumla fi'liya separately, and regarding jumla ismiya, we studied that every jumla ismiya will have two parts, Mubtada and Khabar. Mubtada is the subject, Khabar is the predicate. We studied three basic rules about Mubtada and Khabar. These were as follows. Rule number one, Mubtada will always be marfu, Khabar will always be marfu. And this rule applies 100% of the time. Rule number two, Mubtada should be definite or marifa in capacity. Khabar should be indefinite or nakra in capacity. And this rule applies 99% of the time. Rule number three, both Mubtada and Khabar will have the same gender and number. And this rule applies 99.99% of the time. Then we moved on to murakkab nakis, which does not deliver a complete meaning and which is not a sentence. We then studied that there are four types of murakkab nakis. These are murakkab jari or prepositional phrase, murakkab izafi or possessive phrase, murakkab tawsifi or descriptive phrase, murakkab ishari or demonstrative phrase. We further studied that each murakkab has the potential to be used either as mubtada or khabar. For instance, murakkab ishari or demonstrative phrase can be used as mubtada. It cannot be used as khabar except for rare exceptions. Murakkab tawsifi, descriptive phrase, and murakkab izafi, possessive phrase can be used both as mubtada and as khabar. And in the case of murakkab jari or prepositional phrase, we studied that in jumla ismiya, murakkab jari can be used as muta'alliq or additional information. Jumla ismiya always begins with an ism. Jumla fi'liya always begins with fi'l. Next, we studied jumla fi'liya. And in the case of jumla fi'liya, we studied fi'l maruf and fi'l majhul. Fi'l maruf was active voice fi'l. Active voice fi'l or fi'l maruf can either be past tense or fi'l mazi, for example, naswara, or active voice fi'l or fi'l maruf can be in the present or future tense, which is fi'l mudare. Fi'l mudare example is yansuru. Naswara, yansuru. We further studied that every fi'l will always have a fa'il, and fa'il is the performer of the action. Fa'il will always be marfu. We further studied that if fa'il is a noun, then we will use cell number 1 and cell number 4 of our fi'il table. And if fa'il is a personal pronoun, then we can use any of the cells of our fi'il table. Finally, we have the maf'ul. Maf'ul is the recipient of the action. Maf'ul will always be mansub. Maf'ul can also be a noun and maf'ul can also be a personal pronoun. Next, we studied fi'il majhul, which was passive voice fi'il. Fi'il maruf, active voice fi'il. Fi'il majhul, passive voice fi'il. In the case of fi'il majhul, we also have a mazi category and a mudare category. Mazi category is for past tense, mudare category is for present or future tense. Example of fi'il mazi majhul or passive voice fi'il in the past tense is nosera, and an example of fi'il mudari majhul is yunsaru. In the case of passive voice fi'il, we have naib file or the acting file. This acting file was originally the maf'ul, it was originally the recipient of the action, and we gave it the status of file. Naib file or acting file can be a noun, ism zahir, in which case we will use cell number 1 or cell number 4 of our fi'il table, or the acting file can be a personal pronoun, in which case we will use cell number 1 to 14 of the fi'il table. Please note that Jumla fi'liya always begins with a fi'il. Jumla fi'liya has at least two parts, fi'il and fa'il. In active voice fi'il, we have fa'il plus minus maf'ul, and in the passive voice fi'il, we have acting fa'il, which was originally the maf'ul, but it is given the status of fa'il. Please also note that every fi'il has a fa'il, whether that fa'il is mentioned or not. In the case of active voice fi'il, the fa'il is always mentioned. In the case of passive voice fi'il, the fa'il is not mentioned. Let us now move to our topic and study how we will convert Jumla fi'liya into Jumla ismiya. We will take the following example. Zahaba. We have studied Zahaba in detail. We know that it is Jumla fi'liya. We know that Zahaba is Jumla fi'liya in the active voice, and specifically it is fi'il mazi. Zahaba is the combination of fi'il plus fa'il, and the fa'il in the case of Zahaba is huwa. If we take Zahaba and we take huwa out of Zahaba and we place that huwa at the start of the Jumla. So we took Zahaba, we picked up huwa from Zahaba, and we simply placed it at the start of the Jumla. So now we have the following scenario. This combination will look like this, where we have huwa coming at the start and it is followed by Zahaba. Let us pay some more attention here. The first thing we will notice is that this is no longer Jumla fi'liya. We studied in the previous slides that Jumla fi'liya always starts with fi'il. In this case, the Jumla is starting with huwa. Huwa is not a fi'il. Huwa is an ism. Huwa is marfu. Huwa is at the start of the Jumla here. Therefore, huwa can be mubtada. To recap, we took Zahaba, which is fi'il mazi. We took the huwa from Zahaba and placed it at the beginning of the Jumla. And we ended up with huwa Zahaba. We cannot call this Jumla fi'liya anymore. Why? Because it is no longer starting with fi'il. It is starting with huwa. Huwa is an ism. We studied that personal pronouns are included within the category of ism. Huwa is a marfu personal pronoun. And since huwa is coming at the start of the Jumla, huwa can be mubtada. Please also note that huwa can no longer be called fa'il. In the case of Zahaba, huwa was the fa'il. Fa'il always comes after fi'il. So in this case where we have huwa Zahaba, we cannot call huwa as the fa'il. Huwa can play the role of mubtada and Zahaba can play the role of khabar. So Zahaba is an example of Jumla fi'liya. We took huwa out of Zahaba, placed it at the beginning of the Jumla, and we have huwa Zahaba, which is a Jumla ismiya. Huwa is the mubtada and Zahaba is the khabar. So we have a Jumla ismiya here, which is huwa Zahaba. This is a combination of mubtada and khabar. Huwa is the mubtada, Zahaba is playing the role of khabar. Please note once again that this cannot be a Jumla fi'liya. Zahaba was Jumla fi'liya by itself, but huwa Zahaba is a Jumla ismiya. Huwa Zahaba cannot be a Jumla fi'liya because Jumla fi'liya always starts with fi'il. Let us focus on huwa. Huwa is marfu ism at the start of a sentence. That is why huwa meets the requirement for it to be mubtada. We studied that mubtada will always be marfu. Huwa is also definite in capacity. because we know that personal pronouns are included in the list of definite asma. Finally, huwa is no longer fa'il. Fa'il always comes after the fi'il. Next, we move on to zahaba. Zahaba on its own is jumla fi'liya. So if we only look at zahaba and we ignore the huwa, zahaba by itself on its own, it is jumla fi'liya. Please note that zahaba equals fi'il plus fa'il and the fa'il is huwa. Zahaba in the case of huwa zahaba is now playing the role of khabar. Once again, if we only look at zahaba and we ignore huwa, zahaba on its own is jumla fi'liya, just like we studied before. Zahaba equals fi'il plus fa'il and the fa'il is huwa, and that huwa is hidden within zahaba. But when we look at huwa zahaba, now we have a jumla ismiya, where huwa is the mubtada and zahaba taken all together is the khabar. Now we will move one step further. We know that in jumla ismiya, whether we have mubtada or khabar, each will have its own requirements. Mubtada will have certain requirements and khabar will have certain requirements. Let us look at the requirements of mubtada, which is huwa in this case. The first requirement is that mubtada must be marfu, and the rule is applicable 100% of the time. We already know that huwa is marfu because it comes from the table of marfu personal pronouns. So we have met this requirement and we have answered the question. Next, we know that mubtada should be definite in capacity. Is huwa definite in capacity? We know that huwa is a personal pronoun and personal pronouns are definite in capacity or they are marifa. Therefore, this question is also answered. We know that huwa is definite in capacity. Huwa is a personal pronoun. That is why it is marifa or definite in capacity. The third question is that mubtada should match the khabar in gender and number, which will be 99.99% of the time. So what is the gender of huwa and what is the number of huwa? We know that the gender of huwa is masculine and huwa is singular in number. Now let us move to the khabar. The khabar in this case is zahaba, which on its own is jumla fi'liya. So the questions that we need to answer are, what is the status of zahaba? Is zahaba definite or is it indefinite? And finally, what is the number of zahaba and what is the gender of zahaba? In the case of mubtada, which was huwa, we were able to easily answer the three questions. But how do we answer the three questions or how do we meet the three requirements of khabar? Inshallah, we will study in the subsequent slides how to meet these requirements of khabar. So here we have our jumla ismiya, huwa, zahaba. In the case of huwa, zahaba, we were able to answer the requirements. We were able to meet the requirements of huwa, which is mubtada, but we still haven't answered the questions or we haven't met the requirements of khabar. The questions that we still have to answer: what is the status of zahaba? Is zahaba definite or indefinite? And what is the number and gender of zahaba? To answer these questions, we have to use our imagination a little bit. Here is an important concept. Imagine that we take jumla fi'liya, that is zahaba, and we put it into a box and then we close that box. So let us conceptualize this. We have zahaba as jumla fi'liya and we put this zahaba into a box. Next, we close that box. Now this box has several uses. We can use this box for several things. Number one, this box can be placed in the position of khabar, maf'ul, sifat, or mudaf ilayh. So this box can be placed in several different positions where it can be placed in the position of khabar. So we are already answering one of our questions and we can say, yes, zahaba can be used as khabar. We can take zahaba, which is jumla fi'liya, we can put it into a box, we can seal that box, and then we can put that box in the place of khabar. Next, this box can be used in indefinite capacity. This box can be used in nakara capacity. So we know that the rules of Jumla Ismiya are that Mubtada should be definite and Khabar should be indefinite in capacity. So if we are using Zahaba as Khabar, we can put Zahaba in our box, seal that box, and then we can use that box in Nakra capacity or indefinite capacity. Finally, this box can be used in Marfu form. This box can be used in Mansoob form, and this box can be used in Majroor form. To summarize, in the case of Huwa, Zahaba, Huwa is Mubtada, Zahaba is the Khabar. On its own, Zahaba is Jumla Fe'liya and Huwa Zahaba is Jumla Ismiya. We are now able to use Zahaba as Khabar. We took Zahaba, we put it in a box, we sealed that box, and now we can place this box in the position of Khabar in Jumla Ismiya. We can give this box indefinite capacity or Nakrah capacity, and finally we can use this box in Marfu form, Mansoob form, or Majroor form. So here is our concept of Jumla in a box. We took Zahaba, we put it in a box, and now we can use this box in several positions. We can use it, for instance, in the position of Khabar. Huwa Zahaba is an example of Jumla Ismiya. Jumla Ismiya has Mubtada and Khabar. Huwa is Mubtada, Zahaba is Khabar. Huwa has certain demands as Mubtada. Mubtada must be Marfu, Huwa is Marfu. Mubtada should be definite 99% of the time, and Huwa is definite in capacity because it is a personal pronoun. Huwa is singular and masculine. Now we come to the requirements of Khabar. Khabar in this case is Zahaba. Our first question is, what is the status of Zahaba? We took Zahaba, we put it in a box, and we know that this box can be used in Marfu form, Mansoob form, or Majroor form. As Khabar, Zahaba needs to be Marfu. So we will pick our Marfu option and we will say that Zahaba can be used as Marfu Khabar. So we have met our first requirement. Our next requirement is that the Khabar should be indefinite in capacity 99% of the time. We have studied 7 types of definite asma, and Jumla Fe'liya was not included in that list. So by default, we can say that Sahaba or Jumla Fe'liya is not included in the list of definite categories. Therefore, it has to be indefinite. So we meet this requirement of Khabar as well. And now our final requirement of Khabar is that it should match Mubtada in gender and number 99.99% of the time. Our Mubtada was singular and masculine. To answer this question, we will refer to the personal pronoun within Zahaba. The personal pronoun within Zahaba is Huwa, and Huwa matches the Mubtada in number, that is singular, and gender, that is masculine. So at this point, we have met all the requirements of Huwa as Mubtada and Zahaba as Khabar, and we can conclude that Huwa Zahaba is a Jumla Ismiya. We will now do some practice of how to convert Jumla Fe'liya into Jumla Ismiya. Here we have our table of Jumla Fe'liya and we have a total of 14 cells. Zahaba, Zahaba, Zahabu, Zahabat, Zahabata, Zahabna. Zahabta, Zahabtuma, Zahabtum, Zahabti, Zahabtuma, Zahabtunna. Zahabtu, Zahabna. We already worked on Zahaba, which is Jumla Fe'liya, and we converted it into Jumla Ismiya by using the personal pronoun within Zahaba and placing it at the start of the Jumla to have Huwa Zahaba. The personal pronoun within Zahaba was Huwa. So we took Huwa, we put it in the front of the Jumla, and now we have Huwa Zahaba. In this case, Huwa is Mubtada and Huwa Zahaba is a Jumla Ismiya. For Zahaba, we will use the personal pronoun Huma and we will place Huma at the start of the Jumla. We will have Huma Zahaba, Huma in this case is mubtada. In the case of zahabu, our personal pronoun is hum. We will take hum and we will put it at the start of jumla and we will have hum zahabu. Hum zahabu is jumla ismiya and hum is mubtada. For zahabat, we will use the personal pronoun hiya. Hiya zahabat. Hiya is mubtada. Zahabata. Huma zahabata. Huma is mubtada. Zahabna. Hunna zahabna. Hunna is mubtada. Now we come to the second person category. Zahabta. In this case, the personal pronoun is anta and we have anta zahabta. Anta is mubtada. Zahabtuma. Antuma zahabtuma. Zahabtum. Antum zahabtum. Antum zahabtum is jumla ismiya where antum is mubtada and zahabtum is khabar. Zahabti. Anti zahabti. Anti is mubtada. Zahabtuma. Antuma zahabtuma. Antuma is mubtada. Zahabtunna. Antunna zahabtunna. Antunna is mubtada. Zahabtu. Ana zahabtu. Ana is mubtada. Zahabtu is khabar. Ana zahabtu is jumla ismiya. Finally, zahabna. Nahnu zahabna. In this example, nahnu is mubtada. Nahnu zahabna is jumla ismiya and zahabna is khabar. We will also do a practice table of converting fi'il mudari into jumla ismiya. Our fi'il mudari table starts as yazhabu, yazhabani, yazhabuna, tazhabu, tazhabani, yazhabna, tazhabu, tazhabani, tazhabuna, tazhabina, tazhabani, tazhabna, azhabu, nazhabu. In the first cell, we have yazhabu as jumla fi'liya and the corresponding jumla ismiya will be huwa yazhabu. We are applying the same concept where we are using the personal pronoun within jumla fi'liya and putting it at the start of jumla ismiya. Yazhabani, huma yazhabani. Yazhabuna, hum yazhabuna. Tazhabu, hiya tazhabu. Tazhabani, huma tazhabani. Yazhabna, hunna yazhabna. In the second person category, tazhabu, anta tazhabu. Tazhabani, antuma tazhabani. Tazhabuna, antum tazhabuna. Tazhabina, anti tazhabina. Tazhabani, antuma tazhabani. Tazhabna, antunna tazhabna. And in the first person category, azhabu, ana azhabu. Azhabu is jumla fi'liya and ana azhabu is jumla ismiya where ana is mubtada and azhabu is khabar. Nazhabu, nahnu nazhabu. Nazhabu is jumla fi'liya. Nahnu nazhabu is jumla ismiya. Nahnu is at the beginning. Nahnu is mubtada. Nahnu is marfu. Nahnu is definite. Nazhabu is jumla fi'liya that we have put in a box and we are using it as khabar. Nazhabu is marfu. Nazhabu is indefinite in capacity and the personal pronoun within nazhabu matches nahnu in gender and number. So we have a complete jumla ismiya as nahnu nazhabu. We can ask ourselves, why do we need to convert jumla fi'liya into jumla ismiya? What is the need for this conversion? The answer is that jumla ismiya creates more impact as compared to jumla fi'liya. Jumla ismiya creates more emphasis as compared to jumla fi'liya. Let us look at the following examples. Zahaba is Jumla Fi'liya, and Zahaba can simply be translated as he went. Huwa Zahaba. Now this is an example of Jumla Ismiya. In the case of Huwa Zahaba, if we were to literally translate this into English, we will have he went. This is an awkward way of simply saying he went. But in Arabic, Jumla Ismiya can be used instead of Jumla Fi'liya for that extra impact or extra emphasis. So in the case of Arabic language, Huwa Zahaba, which is Jumla Ismiya, it has more impact and it creates more emphasis than Zahaba, which is Jumla Fi'liya. That is the reason why we have the option of converting Jumla Fi'liya into Jumla Ismiya. Here we have the following Jumla Fi'liya. خلق الله الإنسان من طين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created man from clay. In this Jumla Fi'liya, we have khalaqa at the start of Jumla Fi'liya, which is fi'il. It is fi'il in the past tense and it is coming at the start of Jumla Fi'liya. This is followed by ism Allahu. Allahu is fa'il, Allahu is marfu. Al-insana is maf'ul, al-insana is mansoob. And finally, we have min twinin, which is additional information or muta'alliq. This is murakkab jari that is used as muta'alliq to provide additional information. Now we will try to convert this jumla fi'liya into jumla ismiya. And we will take the following steps. The first step that we will take is we will take Allahu, that is the fa'il, which is marfu, and we will place it at the beginning of the jumla. We have Allahu khalaqal insana min twinin. The change that we have done is that we have placed mubtada at the start of the jumla, and now we have a jumla ismiya. In previous examples, we took the personal pronoun within the jumla fi'liya and we placed it at the start of jumla to make it into a jumla ismiya. In this situation, we don't have the personal pronoun because we already have the fa'il in the form of ism zahir. So we are going to take our fa'il and we are going to place it at the start of the jumla to make jumla ismiya. And now we have Allahu khalaqal insana min twinin, which is a jumla ismiya. In this example, Allahu is mubtada, Allahu is marfu, Allahu is definite. Ism Allahu is singular in number and masculine in gender. Now let us focus on the khabar. Our khabar is khalaqal insana min twinin. Khalaqal insana min twinin is an example of jumla fi'liya. Jumla fi'liya is being used as khabar in this case. Khalaqa is the combination of fi'il and fa'il. Fa'il is huwa, which is hidden within khalaqa. Al-insana is maf'ul, al-insana is mansoob, and min twinin is the additional information or muta'alliq. We will take this jumla fi'liya, khalaqa al-insana min twinin, and we will put it into our box. Now that the jumla fi'liya is in our box, we can use it for different purposes. The box can be placed in the position of khabar, so we can use this jumla fi'liya as khabar. The box can be used in indefinite or nakra capacity, and we already know that jumla fi'liya is not in the 7 categories of definite asma, so we know that this jumla fi'liya is already nakra, and the box can be used in marfu form, mansoob form, or majroor form. So we have the following conclusions. Khalaqal insana min twinin, which is a jumla fi'liya, we can put it in our box and we can use it as khabar. Next, we can use khalaqal insana min twinin in the marfu form. Khalaqal insana min twinin is a jumla fi'liya and it is not listed in the categories of definite asma. So we can use it in indefinite capacity or nakra capacity. So it meets the second requirement of khabar. And finally, we are left with gender and number. For gender and number, we have to look at the personal pronoun within khalaqa. The personal pronoun within khalaqa is huwa, And huwa matches ism Allahu in gender and number. Ism Allahu is singular and masculine, and huwa, which is hidden within khalaqa, is also singular and masculine. So Allahu khalaqal insana min twinin is an example of jumla ismiya. Allahu is mubtada and khalaqal insana min twinin is the khabar. This is a jumla fi'liya that is being used as khabar. We took this jumla fi'liya, we put it in our box, and by doing so, we have met all the requirements of this jumla fi'liya to be khabar. The possible translation can be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created man from clay. In the case of jumla fi'liya, we had a simple translation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created man from clay. But in the jumla ismiya form, we can add some emphasis and we can say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created man from clay. Here we have another jumla fi'liya. We can break it up as follows. Shariba al-waladu al-ma al-barida, or Shariba al-waladu al-ma al-barida. The boy drank the cold water. In this example, Shariba is fi'il, which is in the past tense and it is coming at the beginning of jumla fi'liya. Al-waladu is fa'il, which is marfu, and al-ma al-barida is the maf'ul, which is a descriptive phrase. So it is a descriptive phrase that is being used as maf'ul. Now we will try to convert this into jumla ismiya. We will take the fa'il within jumla fi'liya and we will bring it at the start of the jumla. So we took fa'il and we brought it at the start. So we have al-waladu, and this is followed by sharibal ma al-barida. Al-waladu is mubtada. Al-waladu is marfu. Al-waladu is definite. In gender, al-waladu is masculine, and in number, al-waladu is singular. Now let us focus on the khabar. The khabar is sharibal ma al-barida. This is a jumla fi'liya that is being used as khabar. Sharibal ma al-barida is a jumla fi'liya where shariba is fi'il plus fa'il. Fa'il in this case is huwa, and al-ma al-barida is the maf'ul. We took this jumla fi'liya, we put it in a box, and now we can use this box to meet the requirements of jumla fi'liya being used as khabar. First of all, we can place this box in the place of khabar. So we can use the box as khabar of jumla ismiya. By using this box, we have the option to use it as marfu, mansub, or majroor. So we will pick the option of using it as marfu. That will meet the first requirement of khabar, and our khabar will become marfu. Our second requirement is that of capacity. We know that this is jumla fi'liya. We know that if we put this jumla fi'liya in our box, we can use it in nakra capacity, and furthermore, jumla fi'liya does not fit into our list of definite capacity. So we can meet the second requirement of khabar, and we can say that sharibal ma al-barida is indefinite in capacity. Finally, we come to number and gender. For that, we will look at the personal pronoun within shariba, which is huwa, and huwa matches al-waladu in terms of gender and number. Al-waladu is singular and masculine. Huwa is also singular and masculine. So we can conclude that this is a correct jumla ismiya with al-waladu as mubtada and sharibal ma al-barida as khabar. In jumla fi'liya form, we can translate this as the boy drank the cold water, and in jumla ismiya, we can possibly translate this as the boy, he drank the cold water. Or we can also simply say the boy drank the cold water. It is difficult to demonstrate the difference in emphasis in the English language, but in Arabic language, using jumla ismiya creates more emphasis as compared to jumla fi'liya. Our next example is Naswara al-waladani al-waladaini, or in continuation we can say Nasara al-waladani al-waladaini. In this example, Nasara is fi'il mazi, which comes at the start of jumla fi'liya. Then we have al-waladani, which is fa'il. Please focus on ani ending sound that indicates marfu form. And then we have al-waladaini, which is maf'ul or recipient of the action. Aini ending sound can be used for mansoob and majroor form. And in this case, since we are dealing with maf'ul, al-waladaini is mansoob. If we want to convert this into jumla ismiya, we will do our step and we will take the fa'il and we will place it at the start of the jumla. Now this is no longer going to be fa'il. We are going to try to make it into mubtada. But please note that al-waladani, nasar al-waladaini is incorrect. Why is this an incorrect jumla ismiya? Al-waladani is mubtada and we are trying to make nasar al-waladaini into khabar. We can put nasar al-waladaini into a box and we can meet some of our requirements of khabar, but we are missing a crucial component of the khabar, that is the number. We recall that khabar should be equal to mubtada in terms of gender and number 99.99% of the time. But the number of nasara is reflected by the personal pronoun within nasara, that is huwa. And huwa is singular and masculine, whereas al-waladani is dual and masculine. So there is a mismatch in the number. And because there is a mismatch in the number, this is not a correct jumla ismiya. How do we fix this problem? We can fix this problem by addressing the number of the khabar. And what we can do is we can make the khabar also dual. So we have al-waladani as mubtada, which is at the start of the jumla. This is a jumla ismiya. Al-waladani is marfu, ani ending sound. It is definite in capacity. And nasar al-waladaini is jumla fi'liya that is being used as khabar. Nasar al-waladaini has nasara, which is fi'il plus fa'il. Fa'il is huma, which is used to indicate the dual number. Al-waladaini is maf'ul. Aini ending sound indicates mansoob form. We took nasar al-waladaini, we put it in our box, and now we can place that box in the place of khabar. Secondly, using our box, we can give nasar al-waladaini marfu form. Thirdly, we know that nasar al-waladaini is a jumla fi'liya, so it cannot be definite in capacity. So it must be indefinite in capacity. And we also know that we can use our box to be used in the indefinite capacity. And finally, the personal pronoun within nasara, which is huma, is masculine. Al-waladani is also masculine. And the number of the personal pronoun within nasara, that is huma, is dual, and al-waladani is dual in number. So we meet all the requirements of mubtada, we meet all the requirements of khabar, and this is a correct jumla ismiya. In jumla fi'liya, we have the translation, the two boys helped the two boys, and a possible translation in jumla ismiya form can be the two boys, they helped them, that is the other two boys. Or again, we can simply say the two boys helped the two boys, but we know that if we are using jumla ismiya, we are adding more emphasis. In this example, we have Nasara al-Muslimuna al-Muslimina, or we can say Nasara al-Muslimuna al-Muslimina. In this example, Nasara is fi'il or fi'il mazi, which is coming at the beginning of jumla fi'liya. Al-Muslimuna is fa'il. Una ending sound indicates marfu form, and al-muslimina is maf'ul or the recipient of the action. Al-muslimina, because of the ina ending sound, can be marfu or mansoob. We know it is mansoob because we are using it for maf'ul. Nasar al-muslimun al-muslimina, the Muslims helped the Muslims. If we try to make the corresponding jumla ismiya, we will take the file and we will place it at the beginning of the jumla. Now it will no longer be file, but we are going to try to make it mubtada and see if it fits. So we are taking our file, We are placing it at the start of the Jumla, and we have al-Muslimuna nasara al-Muslimina. Once again, we note that this is not correct. Why is it not correct? Because ism huwa within nasara, which is singular and masculine, does not match ism al-Muslimuna in number. Al-Muslimuna is plural in number, and huwa within nasara is singular in number. So we have a mismatch between mubtada and khabar. Let us try to fix this, and we can fix this by addressing the number of the khabar, and we can have al-Muslimuna nasaru al-Muslimina. Al-Muslimuna nasarul Muslimina. Al-Muslimuna is mubtada. Una ending sound indicates marfu form. Al-Muslimuna is definite because of al, and nasaru al-Muslimina is a jumla fi'liya. We took nasarul Muslimina and we put it in our box. In this case, nasaru is fi'il plus fa'il. The fa'il is hum, and al-Muslimina is the maf'ul. Once we put it in our box, we closed our box, and we can use this box in place of khabar. Using our box, we can make Nasarul Muslimina marfu. So we meet our first requirement of khabar. Nasarul Muslimina is a jumla fi'liya. It does not fit into the categories of definite or marifa. Therefore, it is nakara. We can also use our box to give nakara capacity to Nasarul Muslimina. So we meet our second requirement of khabar, and we will use the personal pronoun within Nasaru to try to match the mubtada in gender and number. The personal pronoun within Nasaru is hum. Hum is plural and masculine. Al-Muslimuna is plural and masculine. So in terms of gender and number, mubtada and khabar are matching. Mubtada is marfu, khabar is marfu, mubtada is definite, khabar is indefinite. This is a correct and accurate jumla ismiya. Possible translation here is the Muslims help the Muslims, and a possible translation in the Jumla Ismiya form is the Muslims, they help them, that is, the other Muslims. In the case of Jumla Ismiya, we are bringing more emphasis. In this example, we will use the root letters Noon, Zwa, Ra, and we have the pattern identifier Noon. Using the Noon pattern identifier, we will have Nazara as fi'il mazi and Yanzuru as fi'il mudari. Yanzuru, he sees or he will see. Yanzurullahu, now we are adding Allahu as fa'il. Yanzurullahu, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will see. We have the combination of fi'il and fa'il. Yanzurullahu ila suwarikum wa amwalikum. Now we have the following translation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at your faces and your wealth. In this example, yanzuru is fi'il, Allahu is fa'il, ila is harfijar. We have suwarikum, where suwari does not have al or tanween on it, so it gives us a clue that it can be mudaf. And in the case of amwalikum, amwali does not have any tanween or al on it, and kum is mudaf ilayh. So suwarikum is an example of mudaf ilayh combination. Amwalikum is also an example of mudaf ilayh combination. We will add la at the beginning. La yanzurullahu ila suwarikum wa amwalikum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not look at your faces and your wealth. Now we have la at the beginning, which is la of negation, and the rest of the categories we have already defined. In the next step, we will take Allahu, that is the fa'il in this top example, and we will bring the fa'il at the start of the jumla, and it will no longer be fa'il. It will be mubtada. So we have Allahu la yanzuru ila suwarikum wa amwalikum. In this case, Allahu is Mubtada. Allahu is at the start of Jumla, and this is now a Jumla Ismiya. Allahu is definite in capacity, Allahu is marfu, and from the standpoint of number and gender, it is singular in number and masculine in gender. And if we look at the Jumla Fi'liya that is being used as Khabar, the personal pronoun within yanzuru matches Ism Allahu in gender and number. Inna Allaha la yanzuru ila suwarikum wa amwalikum. Now we are adding inna at the beginning of Jumla Ismiya. Inna will make the ism following it mansoob. That is why ism Allah is mansoob. We are using it as Allah, and over here we will be using it as Allahu. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not look at your faces and your wealth. And this construction will help us towards grammatically analyzing the following hadith of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Inna Allaha la yanzuru ila suwarikum wa amwalikum walakin yanzuru ila qulubikum wa a'malikum. Verily, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not look at your faces and your wealth, but He looks at your heart and at your deeds.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.